It's Friday morning, Thursday morning, excuse me. Thursday morning, 6:11, 6:12 in the morning, and we're out for our little morning walk. It's a nice, uh, clear morning. No rain or anything. No rain or anything like that. So let's have a nice little walk and see if we can, if we can get that exercise in, because that's critical, you know? All right. And as I said, it's a Thursday morning. Right? I think I'm in. It is indeed Thursday morning. I could go down there, but I kind of wanted to walk on this main highway this morning because I don't know, there's just less people here, and I just kind of felt like chatting to the YouTube land, you know, not really like interacting with people or anything like that at the moment, really, I guess, sort of. Depends. Anyway, it's a lovely, 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 lovely Thursday morning. Blue skies. Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning, 6:20, 6:14, 6:14 in the morning, Thursday morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Good to see you this morning. That typhoon is gone, thank goodness. Yesterday was the earthquake, right? We didn't, in our location, we didn't feel anything. Well, we didn't feel the earthquake. We didn't have any tsunami or anything like that, thank goodness. But yeah, that was a pretty couple eventful days. I was laying in bed and I was thinking about. I thought I had heard somewhere in the past that like typhoons or hurricanes can be linked to earthquakes. Has anybody ever heard of that? I thought I heard something along the science channels. Typhoons or hurricanes. A typhoon is in the Pacific, just for clarity, and a hurricane is in the Atlantic. They're the same thing, but they have different names, so you know which ocean they're in. So the typhoon, I don't know. I'd heard something about typhoons and hurricanes acting symbiotically with earthquakes. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that, or if there's any truth to it at all. But for some reason, I have some memory of it. Maybe it's one of those Berenstain memories. If you guys know about that, you know, like, what's that called? It's called the Mandela effect. Right. That's what it's called, the Mandela effect. Right. Anyway, the typhoon is gone. There's blue skies. The earthquake didn't hit us. And life goes on, you know, basically, right? Until it doesn't. Anyway. Hello, Ahmed, Alicia. Hello, good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? Where are you guys saying hi from? I'm in Thailand, as you probably know already. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well and having a blessed night, evening, afternoon, or morning, or wherever you are. Wish the best for everybody. Which often means sometimes, let's hope that nothing happens at all, right? No earthquakes, no typhoons. Anyway, we're making excellent time this morning. Bang this out. I was up to, I don't think I've said this on the channel yet, but I was up to 115, 116 kilo, right? That's about 250, 260, about 270, or about 270 pounds, right? So now I'm down to not an astronomical drop, but I'm down about 110 kilo. Hopefully after this walk today, I'll be down under 110 kilo. That's my hope. So every little bit of progress every single day is like, money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? And it really helps a lot too, because like, I live in Thailand, and I spend a lot of time by myself. So sometimes, my mind, or just I imagine anybody's mind, the gears start turning, or something like that. Your mind isn't necessarily in a healthy place. Like you start worrying about things and stuff like that. And I don't want to have to worry about these things that I have no control over, or anything like that. So getting that exercise is critical. When I get that exercise, I feel like, well, you have a sense of accomplishment, sense of purpose and being. It's important, And the funny thing is, when I was 30, I weighed 85 kilo. Now, hi Snowy, how you doing? What's going on? Where are you coming from? When I was 30, I was 85 kilo. I went up to like 100. I think the max I was 117 kilo. That's a lot of weight to carry around. Anyway, another thing that I did, and I'll tell you another thing. This is really good. Don't smoke. Don't drink. Alcohol is poison. Cigarettes are poison. Don't drink that alcohol. The bad things happen. Nothing ever good happens when people drink alcohol. Nothing. When people smoke cigarettes, nothing good happens either. So, I don't smoke and I don't drink. Thanks to the higher being, higher power bigger than myself, And my little insignificance, it is significant for me not to smoke or drink. Which I mean, if we want to get into the politics of it, I think that the government's poisoning their populations with drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother thing, and I don't want to be made to disappear. Anyway, we're coming up here on the what has a bell tower, but I don't think there is a bell. Indeed, there's a bell up there. It looks like a very old bell. And also microphones and stuff. Steady cup. Microphones as well. So that's like a response area, which is pretty cool. Necessary for small towns. You have to have points of communication. Yeah, see that? Isn't that beautiful? Look how beautiful that is. All right. That's a what. And you see the gold that's on there. A lot of those older temples is all real gold leaf. I don't know if that is, though. I suspect not. But it's possible. Yeah, you can spread it real thin, you know, like spread the gold real thin. That's nice viscosity. Anyway, so in Thailand, people drive on the left-hand side of the road. I'm walking on the left-hand side of the road, so the cars are coming from behind me. Normally, I would like to walk into traffic so I can see the cars coming and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't know, like, I think that's probably the safer way, is to walk into the traffic. You know, like going in the same direction as traffic, I think. Anyway. It's a sleepy little town, you know, where we live, and people are starting to wake up now. It's 6:23 on Thursday morning. Probably if you are in Europe or anywhere, let's see, past India, right? Well, we're not at the very beginning of the timeline, right? That's in somewhere in the Pacific, right? So like Greenwich Mean Time or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, all right, working up a sweat now. That's nice. Another thing that I do is I really try to practice safe eating, and then what I mean by that is I eat a lot of vegetables. You know, I used to eat a lot of meat. Meat, you know, if you really sit down and think about it a lot, you know, you probably wouldn't eat it. You know. All right. Coming down to the end of the stretch, and we should be there fairly soon. All right. I love these palm trees, coconuts. You can cut them down, you know, or they fall down. You can cook with them. You can eat them. That's an amazing thing is that, like, when I was in the United States, I went back to the United States for a few years. And I worked, and I was doing, like, you know, gig work and whatever, you know, shopping for people inside and stuff like that. And whenever I'd go through the produce section and I'd check out the produce section, I was always in shock to see the prices of the produce. Like, so after the first, like, couple months of being back in the United States, my wife was still in Thailand. So I'd call her up and I said, baby, you didn't know we were millionaires, did you? And then I priced it like a mango or something like that. It would cost $1.50 or $1.75 or something like that. You know, and here, you know, mangoes just literally are kind of a nuisance, actually, because there's so many of them. They fall off the trees and people don't eat them all. And then you can slip on them like a banana and stuff like that. I wish I knew how to export these things, but, you know, because there's an abundance and the prices are crazy in the United States. I mean, absolutely, you know, like they're in the stratosphere, you know. At least that's where was my perception, because when I'd gone back to the United States, I hadn't been there for pretty much for over 20 years. So my recollection of the United States was from the late 90s. So that's what, like, you know, basically when I came over to Asia was in the late 90s. And so, and then after 2001, I decided I was going to stay out, you know, like, obviously it was 9/11, right? So like crazy things were happening. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to I'll forget about everything because nothing matters. I want to go back to Thailand, live there, and have a nice little peaceful life, you know, and just try to make it to the finish line, you know? But sometimes life gets in the way of the best laid plans. So, but right now everything's pretty good, not bad at all. And generally speaking, right? Like I said, we had the hurricane, the typhoon, right? Typhoon's gone. The earthquake didn't affect us here. I'll just really say a little prayer for the people who were affected by it. I don't know how much damage there was or anything. I mean, I remember watching yesterday on YouTube, with the hundreds of thousands of other people on YouTube watching, trying to see if the tsunami was going to hit, like how bad it was going to be, Well, the way they were, at least when I was watching, what they were saying, there's like the tsunami is going to be like, earth shattering, like worse than the 2004 and 2011. The 2004 was the one that wiped out like over 500,000 people. The 2011 or 10 was the one in Fukushima, right? And then we had this 8.8 one. But anyway, so obviously I was a little bit concerned because Thailand is in the same general vicinity of the Pacific Ocean, and so I was certainly a little bit concerned to keep my eye out for this, what was going on with the earthquake and tsunami. And so as far as I could tell, there was basically no tsunami. Is that right? Hey, thank you for the hearts. I super appreciate you. I super appreciate all the thumbs up and everything like that. You guys are the reason that I'm out here getting the exercise that I need. You guys are helping me, keep in shape and do the things that I need to do, So thank you very much. I appreciate you, every single one of you, All right, so we're basically almost at the halfway mark. That's amazing. That went quick. So this whole walk that I do in the morning is 6.5 kilometers. So I walk 6.5 kilometers in about 40 minutes. Is that a lot or a little? I have no idea. But it seems like maybe it's just normal. I don't know. So I do know it's 6.5 kilometers, and I know it takes about 45 minutes for me to walk it. So that I do know. But I don't know if that's like, I mean, it's probably just normal, Anyway, I can smell the food in the morning. People are cooking. So, Eddie Kapkunlung, Sabali Lupa. Nice old man, a nice smile at least. Anyway, so yeah, you can start smelling the rice cooking and people cooking breakfast. Just getting ready for the day, and sending the kids to school and people going to work. Another day in paradise. Well, there's a dog that's he's gonna have to move out of the road. He's got a collar on. Looks kind of old. Like he's a pretty old and decrepit dog. So I don't know. It looks like he should move, right? Come on, boy, get out of the road. All right, now we are officially at the halfway mark. Well, it's official. Halfway. Well, so not another 10 feet, and we're officially at the halfway mark. Okay, now it's official. All right, so now This road here, I always talk about this road. This is an amazing thing. This road that we're walking on right now runs all the way from here or down to Malaysia, right? If you just kept going on this highway, you end up in Malaysia. But if you go north, you hit the Lao border, and then if you keep going, you get into Guangzhou, China. And then if you keep going, get into the other northern provinces of China. It's a major artery in Southeast Asia, this highway here. So it is kind of interesting. And you see trucks coming through all the time, supply chain and everything like that. So, I know from where we are now, and I've done it. I've driven from here to Bangkok. It's about 900 kilometers, right? So if I left in the early evening, I get there in the early morning, right? So a little more than 12 hours of driving. Anyway. Okay. All right, it's nice elephants to welcome us back into town because we just dipped out of the town just a little bit. And keep it moving. I think I might dip out back to the highway again today because I don't know. I felt like walking on the highway. Let's see if I can get to a proper turning point. I think, yes, now we're on the right path. A little side street. Been down here a few times. Little side street, get back to the highway, and then just keep walking back up past the cornfield. That's a tremendous amount of corn being grown. Not for humans, but for cattle and animal husbandry. Excuse me. Oh, got a nice sweat going. That's nice. Anyway. All right. All right. That's the fire department. All right. Anyway, you see the mountains in the background? I don't know if you can see that. I can see it very clearly in real life, but I don't know if you guys can see it on the. There you go. Over those mountains is Chiang Mai. you know. Try and walk on the sidewalk when it's available. Seems like a good policy. All right, people getting up, serving breakfast all over the place. The day is finally kicking in, man. It's 38 Thursday morning. People are moving. So the Thai work day is at least 10 hours. That's how long people work. You know, that's a long time. You know what I kind of like? You know how like when you're walking down a place like you like don't really know, and you gotta keep like a smile on your face. You know, like, and people look at it like, what's this fucking idiot smiling about? You know, I'm just trying to show that I'm friendly. You know, but it kind of sometimes feels like you get like this permanent like smile on your face, and it's kind of disingenuous. You know, to be perfectly honest. But it is kind of important. I don't know. It's one of the first things that I learned along the way. You know, just, you know, smile. Smiling is good. You know? I appreciate you guys so much, man. You know, every time you guys are out here with me, you know, we're getting it done. And our goal is to get down to 92 kilo or 90 kilo or around that thereabouts that much, right? And we're presently at 110 kilo. So our goal is 90. My goal is 90 kilo. That's 50 pounds. Here's some banana trees. I really like growing some bananas, you know. Things grow very easily. These kinds of things grow very easily. Bananas, papaya, citrus. Oh boy. Here comes a cyclist. There's normally, no, I don't want to say normally, I've only seen him 3 times. Another guy who's doing his walk the opposite direction that I'm going. And we pass each other. So far, we've passed each other 3 times thus far. And yeah, so he's fit and shape and, you know. Well, he's also an older guy, like me. All right. It's 6:42 Thursday morning. Well, you know, some of you guys say hello and stuff like that, but I'd love to know where you guys are from. Probably, the world's a very big place. So the internet made it a whole lot smaller, though, right? Oh, shoot. When I get back, I'll take a nice shower, change my clothes, and I'm working on a video of the Renaissance period in the world, as it affected the world, which is amazing. It's really an amazing topic. If you're a fan of history, this video that I'm making will be available probably next week, maybe later next week. And basically, it's how the Renaissance period formed the world that we live in today. It had a tremendous impact on it, and it's only been about 500 years since the beginning of the Renaissance period, right? So that was started with 1492, Christopher Columbus. He was obviously sailed for Spain. So in that time, it was called the Age of Exploration, or the Age of Discovery. There were only two countries that had basically light years ahead of everybody else, and that was Spain and Portugal, right? And they were hiring primarily Italian captains, and so you had Vasco da Gama, Amerigo Vespucci, Verrazano. These explorers. They were all Italian captains. John Cabot, he was an Italian, but he anglicized his name. He sailed for England. But generally, in that period of time, it was dominated by Spain and Portugal. But the interesting thing is, and a lot of people don't really, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people don't know, because I have no idea what other people know, but I found it interesting to find out that China had a fleet of what they call junks, right? Junk is just the name of the ship, type of ship. All right, they could be, warships, trade ships, and so on, or mercantile ships, maritime trade, and everything like that. And they were doing that since 200 AD, right? They were doing trading spices and stuff like that all through Southeast Asia, right? From 200 AD to around 1378, which is a little bit later. It was the Ming Dynasty, and the Ming Dynasty was practicing a period of isolationism, right? They didn't want the influence of the outside world, right? So they made it was illegal for ships to go sailing, back down to Southeast Asia and stuff like that. And there was this monumental figure, Zheng He, who was an admiral. He was the last guy who sailed for, as far as we know, or as far as I know, sailed for China. But the interesting thing to me is that Portugal came over to what is now Indonesia and Malaysia, right? And basically, they came over and colonized things. They had guns and ships and stuff like that. And the funny thing is that if China had not made a period of isolationism, if they were still in the Southeast Asia, that Portugal and Spain, they never would have had those colonies in Southeast Asia. No, it wouldn't have happened, you know? And that's just like something that happens by circumstance and by coincidence.